The president is not a racist. He didn't say anything racist. This is classic pushback. People elected Trump. This is exactly why. Pushback against conventional wisdom. What he's saying here is the absolute truth, but it's not supposed to be said about any place where the Democrats are in charge.
Well, that was Rush Limbaugh pushing back against claims that President Trump is a racist as the president takes aim at Maryland Congressman Elijah Cummings, firing off a steady stream of attacks on the state of his Baltimore district. Let's bring in our headliner. Donna Brazile is a former interim chair of the Democratic National Committee and a Fox News contributor. Donna, good morning to you. Welcome. So let's get your
good to hear you.
Let's get your take on this back and forth first.
Well, first of all, I'm not going to get into a name calling and all this other craziness. As you all know, the President of the United States, who we just witnessed sign a major piece of legislation to help first responders, he's the President of the entire United States, whether you voted for him or not. He's the President of the people of Baltimore, my beloved hometown of New Orleans. He's the President of everyone. I think we need to stop majoring in the minors and taking these tweets to our public discourse. It is harming, our country. It's poisonous, and it has no place in American politics. I don't get it. I don't understand it. There are people who disagree with the president on issues, on policy, but to take to personal attacks and to demonize an entire American city simply because you disagree with the chairman.
Let's lean on the stats then, because the president said, and I'm quoting him, Elijah Cummings has done a very poor job for his district and for the city of Baltimore. Here's some of the latest statistics showing the situation there, Donna. Those below poverty level, it's over 22%, the homeless population, nearly 3,000 people on a given night, homicides, 309 last year alone, Donna.
Sandra, those are statistics that we all find reprehensible. But let me ask you a question. In a country as affluent as the United States of America, is it right to morally pin this on the person who's representing that city? Or should we all take responsibility to make this country better for every living soul in this country?
You make a fair point, but don't you think the people of Baltimore deserve better?
Don't you think the United States of America deserves better as well, with a president who will not lift up a finger to help those who are in poverty? Let's focus on what we can do as a country. We're now making Elijah Cummings the subject of a conversation that started with, shouldn't we treat migrant children better? This is where the conversation started, and now we're ending it by saying Elijah Cummings is not doing his job. He's waking up every day. I happen to, Bill, hold on a second. I know Elijah Cummings, but I also know cities like Baltimore. And Baltimore, like Chicago, like Louisiana, New Orleans, where I'm from, Washington, D.C., where I'm today. These cities, along with our rural communities, deserve to have leadership that looks after them, not attack them for the problems that they are experiencing. I have a fundamental disagreement with the president on this. If he's attacking,
allow me to push the conversation
cities
forward. Michael Goodwin, FoxNews.com. No problem. Number 8, guys, on screen. Here's the headline. Dems are obsessed with two things: impeachment and race, he writes. It won't help them win. Michael Goodwin there today. Is that what this campaign is shaping up to be about, Donna?
You know, back in the early 2000s, when President Trump and others began to push this birther conversation, we had to endure that conversation. We knew that it misrepresented the facts. No, Democrats are more than just the subjects that the president and others desire us to have. We're about making sure that every American has a healthy start and a head start in their life, making sure that this prosperity that we're enjoying is able to be shared by all. That's what Democrats are about. And if Republicans disagree with what our approach is, fine, we'll meet you at the ballot box.
Knowing that you're almost halfway there with half the number of House Democrats favoring impeachment, is that the right winning track for this campaign?
You know, there are many Americans who support impeachment or opening up an impeachment inquiry, and there are many who believe that it's not going to give us what we desire, which is the end of the Trump presidency. No, I'm not a member of Congress, and my member does not have a vote. But let me tell you what I would say to her. Let's hold this administration as you've held other administrations accountable. This is about accountability. No one is above the law, and we should make sure that everyone is held accountable.
How do you think the debates change things this week, Donna?
Well, here's what I believe. I think they all should bring their A game, not just for the vice president, former vice president, and others. Every last one of those candidates should bring their A game. We're now in a period of time when the American people are looking for real leadership, real change. They don't want the okey doke. They want real solutions to issues that still confront this country. I think we're going to see a lot of fireworks, and it won't just be directed at former Vice President Biden. The fireworks will come from those who are struggling to have a breakthrough, and they need this conversation right now to go at a higher level and to bring us into a future.
All right, we'll see.
I'm looking forward to it.
We will see how much okey doke we get this week. Thank you, Donna.
No okey doke. No okey doke.
Nice to see you. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Donna Brazile in Washington.